Hi Algebra 1 and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at Lesson 9.5 Part 1, the Quadratic Formula, and we're going to be looking for 9 things to go in our notes. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to know is what is the quadratic formula, and this is how you can find solutions of standard form or the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx is equal to c. You can plug it into the formula negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. A cannot be equal to 0 and b squared minus 4ac has to be greater than or equal to 0 in order for this to work. There's a little song that you can sing to help you remember what the quadratic formula is, and this is how it goes. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you can try that to help you remember the quadratic formula, but right now let's go ahead and pause the video so you can write down what the quadratic formula is, and then once you're done, click play. So here's the quadratic equation. We're going to use the quadratic formula to solve it. So what we're going to look for is what a, b, and c are. So a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to 3. So what we're going to do first is just plug in that in. So negative b, which is negative 5, and then plus or minus square root. And then we have b squared minus 4ac, which is negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, all over 2a, which is 2 times 2. Now all you do is have to simplify it. So this is what that's going to look like. Negative 5 would just be 5, plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, negative 5 squared is 25. And then we have 4 times 2 times 3. That's going to give us 24. So 25 minus 24 is 1. And then all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So now what we do is we find the square root of 1 and then use those plus or minus signs. So we would have 5 plus or minus 1 over 4. So that means 5 plus 1 over 4 and 5 minus 1 over 4. Either way, that's going to give you x is equal to 1, and then x is equal to 3/2. Sorry, I switched it around. 3/2 would be the first one, 6 over 4, and then x is equal to 1 over here. Okay, so that's all you're going to do is just plug in a, b, and c, and then simplify to solve. So let's go ahead and try these. You're going to be plugging into the quadratic formula. Maybe try to sing your song as you plug in, and once you're done, click play to check your work. Alright, so for number 2 we have negative b, which is negative 6, and then plus or minus square root b squared, negative 6 squared, minus 4ac, so 4 times 1 times 5, all over 2a, which is 2 times 1. There we go. Alright. So, and we will round to the nearest tenth if needed here. So negative 6 should be 6 plus or minus, and then we have 6 squared, which is 36, and then we have times negative 4 times 1 times 5, which is going to give us negative 20, and then 36 minus 20 is going to give us 16, all over 2. So we have 6 plus or minus, the square root of 16 is 4 over 2, which means we'll have 6 plus 4 over 2, which is 10, and then we have 6 minus 4 over 2, which is 1. So we have x, sorry, not 10, but 2. 5, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So x is equal to 2, and x is equal to 1. Oh my gosh, x is equal to 5, and x is equal to 1. There we go. Alright, number 3, let's go ahead and plug that one in. So we have negative b, which is negative 1, and then plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 1 squared, minus 4 times 1/2 times negative 10, all over 2a. Here we go. So we'll have negative 1 plus or minus, we have 1 squared, which is 1, minus 4 times 1/2, which is 2, times negative 10 is negative 20, so it's going to be plus 20, so we would have the square root of 21 all over 1. and then essentially we need to find the square root of 21. The square root of 21 is going to be about 4.6 when rounded. So we'll have negative 1 plus 4.6 and negative 1 minus 4.6. For this first one, we get x is equal to 3.6, and for this last one, x is equal to negative 5.6. So those are our two answers for number 3. The next thing we're going to talk about in our notes is determining or interpreting the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, which is inside your radical. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, you're going to have 2 real solutions and 2 x-intercepts. If b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, you'll have 1 real solution and 1 x-intercept. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, you can't have any real solutions or any real x-intercepts. What we're going to do now is take the time to pause here and write down what you see. If you want to draw the graphs, you can, but I really need to make sure that you focus on when b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, what happens? When b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, and then when b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So let's go ahead and pause here for number 4 to write down what happens in each situation, and then once you're done, click play to see how it's done. Alright, so what it says is determine the number of real solutions for x squared minus 8x minus 3. And I'm using b squared minus 4ac to figure out how many solutions there are. So I'm going to plug that in. So I have 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3. That's going to give me 64, and then negative 4 times 1 times negative 3 is positive 12, so 64 plus 12 equals 76. Because this is greater than 0, I'm going to have 2 solutions. Okay? This next one in letter B, notice it's not in standard form yet, so what I'm going to do is subtract 6x to get it over here. So I'll have 9x squared minus 6x plus 1, and then go ahead and plug it into b squared minus 4ac. So negative 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 1. That's going to be 36, and then negative 4 times 9 is negative 36, times 1 is still negative 36. So 36 minus 36 is equal to 0, and that means there's only one solution. So bigger than 0, 2 solutions. This is equal to 0, 1 solution. Less than 0, no solutions. So we're going to try 5 and 6. Again, determine the number of real solutions of the equation. And then the last few, we're going to talk about how to find the number of x-intercepts. So let's go ahead and pause here. Click play when you're ready to check. Alright, so for number 5, we have b squared, which is 4 squared, minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 4. So that's 16 minus negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So 16 minus 16 is equal to 0, which means we have one solution. For number 6, I'm going to go and add 1 to the other side, so I can get 6x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then I can do my b squared minus 4ac, so that's 2 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1. That's going to be 4. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. So 4 minus 24 is going to be negative 20. Number 6 will have no solutions because it's less than 0. The last thing we're going to talk about is how to find the number of x-intercepts on the graph. And this is the same way that you just did, using b squared minus 4ac. Because when you wrote down number 4 in your notes, it talked to you about how many solutions and how many x-intercepts. So really this is like we're finding the same thing. So we're going to do 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 9. So that's 9 minus negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 9 is 72. I'm going to get a negative number. It's negative 63. So there are no x-intercepts. I'm just going to write no x-int. So here are the last 3 of your notes. You're going to try same type of deal that you've been doing before, except now we're just focusing on answering how many x-intercepts of the graph. Let's go ahead and pause here so you can try them on your own. And once you're done, click play. All right. Sorry about that. So we have b squared, which is 1 squared for number 7, minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 6. So we have 1, negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. This is going to give us negative 23, which means there are no x-intercepts. For number 8, we have b squared, which is negative 1 squared, minus 4 times 1, and then c is equal to 0. So we have 1, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, but times 0 is 0. So 1 minus 0 is 1. That means we have 2 x-intercepts because it's greater than 0. The last one, we have 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 36. That's going to be 144, and negative 4 times 36 is negative 144. Subtracting those, we get 0. So since x is equal to 0, we have 1 x-intercept here. Okay, that's going to be the conclusion of our notes today. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.